Hi everybody, this is Darkside. I think this is going to be my second video in English. And today I would like to talk to you about, of course, knives, what else, but how to choose your knives. This is very basic, so no special components, materials, steel compositions or anything about this. This is for more advanced in my opinion. So more advanced levels. This is only for beginners, noobs, whatever you want to call them. For you, maybe, which one I was also, because today I see a lot of videos about knives, but I see rarely one that are about how to choose your knife or what is a good knife for you. There are a lot of details, a lot of information about one specific knife. What can it do? How is it? What can it achieve? What is how good is the company? For example, where it was assembled, what materials did they use, and etc. But usually these information are irrelevant for most of the beginners because they don't understand anything about it. So I can tell you about the steel composition or the stainless steel or what to use or how much percent coal in it or any other material, but for us, the users who are, let's say, knife geeks, but they don't care about, so if they're 3% more iron in it or steel in it than the previous one, for example, I don't give a shit about it. So is it a good knife? Can I use it? What I wanted to use it? What specifications I have? For example, it is good to know if you're in your country, for example, or in your state or city or whatever, that the size of the knife is available or it can be used or it is allowed by the law, for example. Here in Hungary, for example, we cannot use knives on the street, of course, which is bigger than 8 centimeters. So the puncturing length and the blade length together cannot be more than 8 centimeters, and this is very important. So most of the, for example, knives from the USA could not be used here because usually even with the folders and especially for the fixed blades, 10 centimeters or more in inch, I don't know how much that is, but 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So you can calculate it by yourself. And most of the blades that I seen, which are, let's say, common blades, are above or between the or in this center around 10 centimeters. So this will be most of the blades. I would say 70% of the blades are illegal in Hungary, for example, to use it on the streets. Of course, it's another thing if you use it holstered or don't show it or in secret, but the police wouldn't be so fond of it. So, first of all, what blades are they? The two typical blade types, let's say, or knife types, not blade types, sorry. Folders and the fixed blades. And there are a lot of variations in it, in both sides. Fixed blades, usually for people who don't like the folders, who like to keep it in sheets, for example. There are a lot of very good sheets, I might say. So basically the most renowned are traditional, let's say, are the leather sheets, very good. But it needs to be very good sewn to have a lifetime. So, for example, a lot of leather holsters or sheets that come from China, the leather is, let's say, good. Let's say it's good or fairly good, but the material what they use to sew it together are shit, and the quality of the sewn, usually that's probably kids or underpaid employees made it, they don't know a fucking thing about sewing. It is a total mess. I've seen it in many of my blades that I had to bring it to one of my friends to make it better because the quality that it was produced or manufactured and the sewn or the line that they used to it, even though the leather was good. It was so shit that I had to do it again, or my friend had to do it again, for example. Of course, with more professional companies, that is not an issue, so you won't have it. On the other hand, you have to pay for it. So they usually, in my opinion, because of the marketing, because of the size of the company, they will ask much more than this blade is worth. Of course, there are a lot of sales. For example, if you have happened to found one, then please buy it by all means, because it will be a good quality. You will have a warranty for it and all the other things that usually the reason why people buy the real things. On the other hand, you mustn't forget that there are a lot of Chinese knockoffs or copies or replicas or whatever you want to know it, and most of the big shots don't like them because it's fake. But in many cases, it is much cheaper, and the steel or the quality, besides the sheet, I mean, and usually it is for the folded knives. The quality is not so bad as they say, or as you would guess from China. There are a lot of good steel come from China, a lot of good materials, and a lot of good companies. For example, Ganzo, Sanramu, they make very good knives, so from very good steel, and it's much more affordable than usually the knives that made from in Europe or in America or any other countries. Not the same in quality. And usually the quality, I mean the composition of the steel, but very good quality steel. And for beginners or users, or everyday users, especially in the city, you don't need such a special steel or a very good handcrafted knife for everyday use. It must be affordable. You must like it. For example, the appearance is very important, because you can give me the best knife in the world. If I don't like it, I won't use it. If it doesn't catch my attention, for example. And it goes for everyone, in my opinion. You know, first love or first sight, if you can tell it immediately. You would like it, you would be interested, or you will ditch that knife. It doesn't matter. After that, it doesn't matter if it's the best company in the world who manufactured it, or it has the best grip in the world, or it has the best steel or knife or edge or whatever. After that, it will be a fairly good knife, let's say. So fixed knife. In my experience, because I'm also a knife collector, but I'm a knife collector that uses his knife. So no, I don't put them in a vitrine or something like in a showcase. So I will only look at it and never touch the stuff. By the fixed knives, I have experienced that I like to use my knives, for example, and for me now it is 50% the knife and 50% the sheet that comes with it. For example, the canvas sheets, it's rarely good by me, for example, because most of them, by the grip, you know, that is it's supposed to be fixed. It is done by Velcro. Velcro is, in my opinion, is the shittiest thing that you can do by a knife, because the Velcro will eventually wear off or wither, and especially if you use it outside or in humid conditions or in bad weather, for example, like you use it in bushcraft or survival tour and anything like that, the Velcro will wither very fast. I don't like it. If it's done with a knob, or it's better, but I think the best for the knives are the Kydex or ABS or something like that. Basically, it's from polypropylene or something like that, so it's plastic. Why? Because you can manufacture, or they will manufacture it exactly for the knives, for that specific knife, so it won't move. Normally it wouldn't move in the sheet. It holds very good, and you don't need by the grip, you don't need anything, a button or Velcro, anything to hold it, because the lower section of the sheet is this plastic holds the knife very well, and you don't need anything else. Also, it can be customized for your belt. You can use it, you know, especially if many knives or many sheets are compatible with moly, and it is very good. And I think this is the stuff that besides the knife that should hold forever, basically. And leather, you have to take care of the leather eventually. If it's canvas, it can wither, or the knife itself could cut it into pieces, for example, if you put it too hard in it or you don't pay attention to it. So Velcro will, I said, wither away eventually. Shit, I almost ate my microphone. So it's not good. In the first times, the sheet didn't bother me. I said, "Oh, good knife, oh, I will use it." But when I had it, there will be certain situation when you have to put away your knife, or you have to, and you don't want to put it on the dirt, or you want to have it near you, so you can where you can reach it, and you don't want to put it down, for example, because you're cutting off meat or anything, and you don't want to get your knife dirty, for example. Then where you put it, of course, in your sheet. However, I also had some knives which were very good, but the sheet was so shit that when I put it in my sheet and I just crouched down to reach for something, the knife itself, because it was so heavy on the grip, it fell out of the sheet, and I couldn't believe it. And it was a good knife, good quality knife, but the sheet was so fucking awful that I because of this, even though the blade and the quality and the manufacturer was good and it was an expensive knife, I didn't use it and don't like to use it because the sheet and the knife comes together, and when I put it in my sheet, I wanted him to stay there without any specific, so I don't have to tie it down to my leg or anything to stay in that fucking sheet, for example. So this is one thing. For the steel material, 440C, 8CR, 9CR, 5CR, these are all good. Most of them, big shots say, except for the exception, excuse me, they say that these are low quality or not so good materials, but for everyday use or city use, I think they're perfect. You don't need a special steel composition for this use, for everyday use. You won't go to survival, you won't go to jungle to survive, or bushcraft. For those, there are other knives or other knife types or better steels for that. For those, of course, you have the harder and better steels, but for everyday use, you don't need it. And also, for self-defense, you don't need it. I mean, every kind of steel that you can think of, it's harder than your skin, for example, or your flesh. So everything can cut. Every metal can cut if you can sharpen it. Also, a very important thing that the knife should be easy to sharpen. For example, the recurve blades, for me, it's very hard to sharpen because you have to use special sharpening stones for that. Tanto is also not on my favorites. I liked it, but the USA Tanto, this square part, it's you have to sharpen the lower part, then the second part, and you have to do it so one side 2 times and the other side 2 times, also because they are 2 different blades. So it is more time consuming. Fuck these words. So it is also important. Also, the blade type, so it's normal, a recurve, or a tanto, or a lot of things. You have to find which one is better for you, which is the blade type that you will like. It is very good to use. So this is why I would advise you to have different kinds of blade types. For example, if you like it and the blade is good and you think it's good and the grip is comfortable, and also very, very important, no matter what kind of knife you would choose, so folder, fixed blade, etc., always check it on YouTube, in the net, and everything. In the commercial, everything is pretty, everything is perfect. They could cut steel, they are like a fucking lightsaber. They will cut everything, even a tank. But in reality, when someone else make a video about it, just like me, for example, then they will tell you the truth about it, or more or less. It depends on if someone's paid for it or not. And then you will have some more deep information without the bullshit of the commercials, that what is this knife is capable of in reality. How will it cut wood or meat, or how will it sense, for example, the weather. Is this grip really rubber, or is just made from plastic and it's slippery? So a lot of things that usually the commercials won't say to you, or the company won't say to you. But there are almost from every kind of knife that you could think of, no matter if it's Chinese or made by Spyderco, there are always at least one video on YouTube that you can check out. And of course, at the moment, if you're understanding me or see it in my video in English, most of these, lucky for you, are in English. So there are a few that in maybe Russian or in other languages. But even though, if it's, let's say, this is the only video about this knife that you would like, no problem. Watch the Russian. You don't understand anything of it, no problem. Just see through it if what is this guy is doing with it. If is he chopping wood, if he carving wood, if he is slicing anything, and by the end of the video, how does this, you will see on the blade that how did it handle all these things. So does it chipped, does it broke, or anything else? Is it easy to sharpen? Usually they will tell you this, and even if you don't understand anything from what the guy says, you will see it in real life that whether this blade is good or not, and you can make your own judgment about it, whether you is it worth to buy it or not. Very important that you should look several sites, also eBay, AliExpress, and all the others, because they usually they have sales, and the shops are usually have a bigger margin on it, so they sell it more expensively. Let's get so for the knife, the grip, the blade, and the sheet for the fixed blade, it's very important. So the grip, I forgot to mention it, sorry. The grip is important because how comfortable will be the knife. For example, if it's skeletonized, you should always watch, which means there are nothing on it, just the steel itself. You should always be watchful for where is it rounded up or not, or on the sides, for example, because if it's not, it could cut into your hand and it will feel very uncomfortable. And even if this is the only problem with this knife, a sheet is good, the blade, anything, and it's a good material, you won't use this blade as much often as you would like, because it will be very uncomfortable to use it, and it will degrade the blade for you, because no matter how expensive or cheap one is it, I have also blade, for example, that will be good. The blade, the edge, everything is good, but I don't like to use it because it cut into my hand and I can't use it extensively, for example, or I don't like to use it extensively because it would hurt my hand. It's a big thing in my opinion, because you would want to use, normally you want to use it especially for fixed blades in let's say forest or or if you go for example forest or camping and you only brought this knife, then you will use it for a week or a day or how long you plan to stay there, and you have nothing else, so you must use it, and it will be pain in the ass. On the folder side, of course, the folders don't have any sheet usually. Grip, also important. Usually every fucking company now say it, no matter if it's Chinese or not, that the grip is made out of G10. For me, G10 is basically, which is anti-slip. So unfortunately, on the pictures, on the commercial, you won't see it. They always say it is G10 and this is anti-slip. You will only see it when you have received the blade. After a while, you will see it in. You will have more experience in it, and you will see it that even from the pictures you can tell if it is anti-slip or not. There will be a few exceptions when maybe, but in most cases you will have enough experience after a while that you can say that this is good for you or this is not for you. I'm not saying that if it's slippery it's bad, because it could be ergonomically fit to your hand and it's very good. And if let's say 100 people say 99 says that this is a shit blade because it's small and it's not anti-slip and anything, but it is good for you because it is perfectly made for your hand, and let's say that you're fucking lucky in this case, then it will be a good blade for you. You don't need to care about any other opinions, because that blade is good for your hand, it is good, you can use it, then it is a good blade for you. But for the other 99 people, it will be a shit blade. It is all come to personal view, whether it is good or not for you. So please also bear that in mind. So folders, the grip, very important. The lock mechanism, where for example, if you can pull it out quickly or not, depending on what you want to use it. For example, if it's a tactical blade or you want to use it for self-defense, it should be the lock should be very steady and stable, and you should open it very fast. Better yet, open it as you pull it out of your pants, for example, because even if the opening or the picking off out of the blade from your pocket only has, let's say, it will take 1/2 of a second, but still the other, if it's a fixed blade for him, that he don't have to open it, and the 1/2 of the second it's in his favor because he already opened his blade, for example. So you also have to bear that in mind if it's for self-defense. If it's not, if it's a blade, for example, like my Hungarian blade, which is traditional, and it is not made for fast opening, but it's made for cutting. It's very comfortable for your hand, and it's very beautiful. Then it's good. It's good. I know how you should always know which blade, what to use it for. If you don't know it, read it. It goes for the fixed blade. It goes for every blade. Read about it, and then you won't fall into the for the trap that you will buy a blade and when you receive it, I didn't think that this would look this big, or I can use that for that specific situation, because there are a lot of blogs, a lot of videos, a lot of newspapers, magazines about knives. So in one of it you will find your knife and you can read about it. Also, if it's, for example, like in my case, you can't use that on the street because its length is bigger than the law would allow you, and you receive it, it's at least 5 centimeters bigger. Then what would you do? You can't, if you're afraid of the police, then you won't be able to carry it without fear in your pocket, because the moment they see it and they measure it, they will take you in, and also you have to pay a fee after that. So good luck. And if it's an expensive knife, then oh boy, you are in trouble. So folders blade also goes that it should be an easier to sharpen edge. The blade material, just like in the fixed blade, 440C, 8CR, 9CR, if it's D2, no problem. But also you have to remember, if it's a weaker blade, then you have to sharpen it more often. It's a fact. Is it a problem? Maybe. For you. For me, not. I will sharpen it. It is also very easy to sharpen. If it's a blade, it's harder, like D2 or premium steel, for example, then it will hold the edge for a longer time. But when you sharpen it, you have to do it for a longer time because it's a harder steel, and it takes more time to sharpen it. Is it bad or good? Totally up to you. Totally up to your preference. What kind of blade or what kind of edge do you want to have? My advice, for example, for sharpening, you should get a sharpening kit. Always easier. I tried to buy, for example, sharpening stones, water sharpening stones or wet stones, but they didn't work for me. I was stupid in it, basically. I didn't have the time, or I didn't want to learn how to sharpen it. Now maybe I could, but for example, I use the Worksharp easy system because it is idiot proof. They all have the edge, so it is, I think it's 20 degree and 17 degree for the kitchen knives, and they have different diamond stone stones which can be used in a dry situation. You don't need water or oil, anything from it, and there's an upgrade kit, and there's, I think, 42 years guarantee for it, so it won't break very soon. Or you can use Spyderco or anything else. There are a lot of on the markets, but please consider the price, because some of them, because I saw it once that it said it's better than the Workshop. Yeah, but Workshop, I think it was maybe $70, and this other thing, which was very good, but it was $600, for fuck's sake. And they also mentioned it in the end that it is not for common or beginners. Oh fuck, you don't say. It's maybe 10 times more expensive than the other, but also it made a very beautiful blade. So the lock, the mechanism, the edge, the material, and what was it? The grip, or what is the grip made of, is also very important. These are the facts. These are the things that I think a beginner should look at it at the moment. So I'm not even saying that the steel counts as so much, because most of the steels, most of the better, even in Chinese knives, the affordable ones, I would say, are are from steel that are good for everyday use. So unless you are very unlucky and you would buy some real shit steel, even that will work because you can sharpen it to an extent that it will cut like a katana, but of course it won't hold its edge so long as, for example, a prime steel or D2 or anything else, but it will cut. The more important thing that it is comfortable for your hand. The blade easy to sharpen in my experience, easy to open. These are for fixed blades, of course. The locking mechanism, so the bolts and the mechanism won't fall apart after you open it and close it 2 times. Won't cut your hand with it, so also consider this for the locking mechanism, so it won't budge or won't move or won't fall to pieces. And how is it to carry with you? Is it a bulky knife or is it a very thin knife? Does it have a clip, pocket clip? Can it be interchanged, for example, one side or left side? Because I heard it was a lot of problem in many cases for left-handed people, that usually these pocket clips are made for the right-hand people. So it's also, if you're left-handed, it could be a problem for you because it will be uncomfortable. Also, how easy to open it? So does it have a ring? Does it have a flip mechanism or anything else? There are a lot of options. Is it automatic, semi-automatic, or you have to open it by the old traditional way, by hand? Also, whether you want to use it for self-defense, for just to have a fancy knife, have a interesting knife, have a special knife, for example, a butterfly knife, which is usually nowadays. In the older time, it was used for self-defense, but nowadays I think it's most people use it for performing butterfly tricks with it, in my opinion. So these are just a few things that you should consider whether you want to buy a fixed blade or a folder knife. And this is your first knife. The most important thing that you should like the appearance and the knife that you want to buy. This is the most important, because if you don't like it, it will be a pain in the ass, and you will, no matter, as I mentioned it, no matter what kind of special steel or what kind of history does the knife have, you won't like it, you won't use it. It's so simple. After that comes the grip, when you hold it, the locking mechanism, and in my opinion, the steel comes last, because nowadays even the Chinese, even the most smallest knife makers are able to have or get a supply of better materials. Maybe not so good composition, not so good in the percentage of different materials in it, so not as good as D2, for example, like the professionals, but it's also D2. So we want, as a beginners, we want to see the difference. We won't see such a big difference in it. Maybe the professionals see it, but I think don't, and we don't care about it in most cases. For fixed blade, sheath, the grip, blade, because it is full tongue, for example, usually, and I would say full tongue, which so the blade is one thick steel altogether, and there's a grip on it. It is very important in my opinion. But after that, it is all up to you what will you choose. If you like the blade, it is affordable for you, it is comfortable for you, and you also read a lot of reviews, not a lot of reviews, let's say that you read at least the reviews that it is a good blade, and if you take my advice, read or consider those reviews the most, let's say, light or most truthful, which say some negative about it. So there are no knives on the world which has only positive sides. There must be some negative. Small grip, doesn't cut so well, not easy to sharpen, and I usually like these reviews because I know that it is not paid, and there are some bugs with the knife, but these bugs may be no bugs for you, so you won't even notice them, but it's a bug for that other person, so it can be a little so let's say that there should be more positive than negative for that knife. Even if someone say negative things about the knife, so let's say he's saying more negative, but it is a question. It is a negative for you. Are you using for that? For example, these people is some professional bushcrafter survival, and this is not good for him because the steel is not so good. It breaks very easily in that situation, of course. But for city use, it could be very good for you. You wanna go on survival tour, you wanna go on bushcraft, and it is good for you, isn't it? You don't need such a premium steel for that specific stuff for everyday use for EDC, for example. So this was just a small thing about how I started to choose my knives, and I read a lot of reviews. I watch a lot of YouTube videos about it, and then I will decide whether this knife is good for me or not. Thank you for your time. Bye.